resources, inspiring interviews, business practices, and practical advice to take your art career to the next level. Join Sergio Gomez in today's Artist Next Level and get ready to take control of your career.
Well, hello, my friends. Super happy to connect here with you today. Let's talk about obstacles. We all have obstacles in our art career, in our life that tend to kind of gear us in a different direction where we want to go. And today we're going to talk about how do we go about overcoming those obstacles in a very practical way, kind of storytelling from more recent experiences. And it's going to be really good. So my good friend Beth English is here. Hi, Beth. Good to see you. How are you?
Hello. I am doing great. I'm excited for this topic today because I think that we can learn so much from the obstacles we face, so much more actually than all the big wins could ever teach us. So this is a good one today. It's a good topic.
Yes, and something that Beth and I, we've been talking about or thinking a lot about is, also the format of our show. We've been doing like this, like max 10-minute, all compact, give the best advice we can within 10 minutes and then off we go. Well, today we're going to start switching things around also for the sake of not falling into a pattern that is just always like a formulaic, but rather keep it spontaneous, keep it fun, and more than anything, giving you guys the best advice that we can, the best of our energy and our ideas. So we thought, why don't we swap this time and let's try a new format. We'll go a little longer and more storytelling. And hopefully we can dive deeper into also things that are recent from both of our sides, from Beth's career, from mine. And we would love to hear from you as well as we share kind of our thoughts and ideas. So that's the plan. That's the plan. Right, Beth? We'll see where we go with this.
Hey, it's going to be great no matter what. You should be sharing wisdom. And I know that there's people out there who can learn from the experiences that we've had. And if we're vulnerable and able to share what we've been through and what we've learned from it, then that's what this is all about, right?
I love it. And, recently in the previous episode, if you guys remember, Beth was celebrating, right? You talk about celebrating your wins, celebrating your successes, your projects, and you just came out of a really important one that you shared with us also in that episode about your one-person performance event, which I can't wait to also hear more about it. And I'm sure you also had big obstacles to overcome there. And I'll share some of the big obstacles that I recently had to overcome in hopes to, again, creating kind of this beautiful conversation around how do we both go about, facing those obstacles, particularly you, and now you are on the other side of the event, like you celebrated, you can look back, what were some of the biggest kind of like things. But first, give us an update. How did it go?
It went amazing. I thoroughly enjoy being on stage. I love having a live audience in front of me so that I can connect with them. And, I told some really vulnerable stories, and that was to show them what was on the other side of struggle, just kind of like what we're doing today, to show people what's on the other side of overcoming the things that could ultimately stop us or deter us from doing the things that we truly want to do. And so it just showed me that, number one, anything is possible. You have an idea, you have a vision, you have a dream for something, and then you do the work, you set yourself up to do the work, and then it's done. And then it's like, wow. Yeah. I did that. And it was an amazing experience. And so
and I bet also as a kind of a context, like for our friends who do not know you perhaps very well, tell us about what the event was, because we're talking about this one performance. Was it kind of like a speech, to sort of like a TED talk, more of a, because I know you also been doing some comedy, so tell us exactly kind of what that was, because I'm just curious to know myself.
Well, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Beth English. I'm a painter, I'm a musician, I'm a comic, and I took all of these skills and I put them into a speech. And so it's like a one-woman show for the keynote stage. So it's not a TED Talk, but if TED Talks are what you're familiar with when it comes to speeches, think about that times 4, because it's about a 50-minute speech. And it weaves you in and out of stories, out of talking about art. I play music and guitar and sing
Oh,
original
really?
music. Yes.
That is awesome.
And I do comedy, and I connect with the audience, and we do some audience activities and interactions. And so it's just a way for me to express the work that I create as an artist, connect that to a teaching point, to wisdom that I have learned and share, and then tie it all together into a massive experience that will help you see yourself in a new way, see how you can overcome the things that are holding you back in a new way, and how creativity is such a powerful tool for expressing whatever is within you to get it outside of you so that you can move on from the things that are weighing heavy on your heart and your mind.
That's amazing. So I assume that you take people through kind of like a journey of kind of your own life, pretty much, because all those aspects are, when I think of you, those are the aspects that you do. And when I think of you, I think about community and connections, and you're always being good at those things. And so it's like an invitation to bring people into your story, right? And
Right, exactly. I share my story of how I overcome childhood trauma and how I use creativity to express myself, and the things that I learned along the way about the power of the present moment, and reframing my experience, the stories around my experiences, so that I can be free from my experiences of trauma, and so many other things that I've learned along the way. It was jam-packed with information and meaningful stories, and I love just hearing the laughter, and I love being able to share my art and connect it to the bigger picture, because my work is a reflection of what I'm going through in my life. And so to tie that in with the bigger story so that people could understand and see the art differently than maybe they did without the context. So it was very powerful way of expressing myself in a format that I love, and that's being on stage, which, for many of you who are painters, are like, no, thank you.
Right. We can hardly do reels, right? Don't ask me to get on the stage.
Do not put me on stage, right? But I grew up on stage. I was a dancer for 15 years doing ballet and tap and jazz and all of those things. And so I'm used to the beat on stage. And then I was taken off stage when I was doing artwork and standing in the background. But then the stories about the art were, brought to the forefront. And so I got used to getting back in the limelight, talking about the work, talking about the projects that I worked on that involved the community, and the bigger picture is that we all have the power within us to spread joy as far as we can see. And when we bring people into that story, then they are part of that spreading of joy as well. And so my mission is to give people a pathway into joy. So if you're experiencing fear, if you're experiencing stress, self-doubt, things that weigh you down, experiences from the past that keep you stuck, that there is a pathway outside of that. And I'm going to tell you my personal stories and the things that I went through to illustrate how I did that for myself, and then give you a pathway for you to learn how to do it for yourself as well.
Well, I love that. That is so awesome. Yeah, that is sounds so. Now I want to go see it. When is it coming to Chicago, Beth? When is it coming?
Well, it could come very soon. You just never know. Like,
exactly.
I'm putting it out there. I've got a video of it now that's being produced. I think it's going to be something that could possibly look as if it were my Netflix special.
Yeah.
And so I am so excited to see that video. I have a very talented videographer working on that now. I'm bringing the show to Nashville again, October 28th, to celebrate my 40th birthday.
Nice.
It's going to be benefiting the Sexual Assault Center of Middle Tennessee, because I was a client there. And so it'll be like a full circle experience of going from surviving into thriving with my one-woman show, benefiting the nonprofit that helped me come out of it. And so
wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's a vision that I had that I felt very it was very important to do this work and to bring together the community of people who need to hear this message, to how to heal, how to get out of fear and into joy, how to move from the darkness into the light, how to be restored and reclaim your life and your story. These are all things that I know resonate with so many people. And that's really all I want to do, is help people see beyond their limitations, beyond their trauma, and believe that they can change and they can experience a life that is full of joy, despite no matter what they've been through.
That's awesome. That's beautiful. And I assume as you were putting together this really cool project and this really awesome performance and talk and inspirational message, I'm sure you approach some really big obstacles along the way. Maybe let's go into the nitty gritty. What's one or two that you can think of that were like big ones, like you maybe even put the whole project in peril as to, they had to be resolved in order to move forward?
Well, one of the biggest issues I faced this summer was my physical health. I was experiencing extreme fatigue, and I was not able to work at the level that I needed to work to get this produced. And so, with help with my doctor, I dramatically transformed my sleep schedule, my eating habits, and the supplements that I was taking. I wasn't absorbing B vitamins or iron. And so there were some things going off in my body. I was in fight or flight constantly. And so my adrenaline and my cortisol was overproducing. And so there was inflammation patterns. And so all of this health stuff that just kind of came out of nowhere. I don't know if I manifested it out of the grief I felt from losing my father, or was it from, who knows?
Yeah.
But I got it. I hit it head on with blood tests and doctor's visits and all that good stuff. And I was able to manage it to a point where all I actually had energy for was to produce this work. And so I dedicated my entire life and centered my life around achieving this goal. And I had to give myself grace on the days that I couldn't accomplish everything I had set out to accomplish because my physical body would just not allow me to. And it was scary emotionally too, because I didn't know if it was autoimmune disease or what was actually going on. It was sort of a mystery. But I have to say, I am so happy that I decided to do something about it and seek the help of my, medical professionals, so that I was able to do what I set out to do initially and complete the work and do a great job and feel good doing it too. And so now, after 2.5 months of dealing with some health issues, I am so much better than I was. And I am so thankful for that. And I guess it also showed me that anything is possible despite what limitations you may feel are in the way, that there is a way of integrating some of those into your process so that instead of a roadblock, it just becomes like a speed bump. And I was able to work around it.
And I think, as you're talking about it, I'm thinking that sometimes these obstacles that come our way are also the things that become like a channel to say, okay, because of the obstacle, now you have to really focus and be more intentional on whatever it is that you really want to get done. Because in your case, the energy level, right? There's only a certain amount of energy you had, but through this allow you to, as you said, really live around this big project, and everything else that could wait, that could come later, that will be for tomorrow, but really narrow down and focus and be able to give grace to yourself to get better, but at the same time move forward. Because a lot of times, obstacles, I think, in our careers can kind of totally distract us and totally deflate us, and the project doesn't get done. Of course, depending on how big the obstacle, how debilitating maybe, but in some cases, like in your case, and have things of that nature too, where the obstacle itself is the thing that gears me kind of in the direction that I actually needed to go, and it makes it better, which is kind of similar some of the obstacles I faced recently. Yeah.
Well, what was hard was telling my friends I couldn't hang out, making sure I was getting ready for bed at 8:00 every day. Like, my life dramatically changed into shifting into solely focusing on this and clearing everything else off the plate. It showed me that it's possible, right? So if we think we're too busy for something, I can reevaluate our life and say, well, let's take this off the plate. Let's take this off the plate. Let's set some clear boundaries. What is it that I need to be able to do this, and then do exactly that? It just shows you what you're capable of when you put the discipline and the hard work into practice.
Yeah, no, I love that. Like for me, like it kind of, a lot of things started to go sideways for me the summer around July when my mom got really sick. If you guys remember too, and I share here, I had to I was planning for a solo show. So, you plan for a solo show, kind of like in your case, you were doing a performance piece. For me, it was an art exhibit, and I've been working on these paintings for the last 6 months, and, getting everything ready. Press releases were already out, everything was already done and ready. And the show was going to open on Friday. My mom gets sick over the weekend, and I'm in that situation where, what do I do now? I want to be in my show. It's not like when you are a guest to another artist or a group show, well, the show must go on. If you cannot be there, well, that's all right? You can always, in this case, it was my gallery, my show. I have to open the door myself, turn the lights on, otherwise there's no show. And, it was one of those situations where I had to really make that choices. Family, super important for me. I got to take the bullet and just go be with my mom, postpone the show. So there were people who came and the door were closed, for as much as I tried to say, I'm not going to be there, I lost the whole momentum that you built, totally deflated, totally confusing. After I was in Mexico for over 2 weeks. So by the time I came back, it was like just trying to catch my breath again. You know what it is, you've been gone for 2 days and the emails pile up. When I was there in Mexico, I said, I'm just going to focus on my mom. That's what I came for. So everything can wait. Well, and it did, but when I came, of course, the pile of messages and emails and calls, and it was just enormous. And it took me a long time. I mean, all that carried all the way through the month of August. Still trying to catch up to those things, to things that were just not working for me, and it was really tough. It was for me like a tough summer. For once, I was super happy I was able to be with my mom when she needed me. Very thankful that she also recovered completely from what she had. So that's great. That's was well worth my time being there, and very, very grateful for that. But, in the art business, catching up to the studio and to the show that was not there and then was postponed, and it wasn't the same, because once you build momentum, you cannot catch it again, just like that, especially summertime when people are traveling, people are going places, it was just difficult. It was just a very difficult thing. So the whole thing kind of led me to like all these mini obstacles, series of obstacles that kept coming along the way, to the point where last, about maybe a couple of weeks ago or so, I'm like, okay, I think I'm falling into the prey also of, I'm trying to catch up myself to the same pattern what I had before. It's like a gear that comes out of sequence, and now I'm trying to catch it again, so that all the other pieces can move. Except I'm like, well, what if I don't want to catch exactly the same pattern? Where I think this is a good opportunity for me to reevaluate everything I'm doing, focus on what I want, look at all my content that I'm putting out there, the projects that I really wanted to get out of the box, and I just, because I've been so busy with everything else, I just haven't done it. And really projects that I really believe on, I want to get done. So it gave me actually this obstacle, an opportunity to sit down and say, you know what, I don't want to just pull back to what it was. And I think I'm ready for the change too, for the doing things a little bit different. Even in my program, my coaching program, I went on video and I told everyone in my coaching program, you know what, guys, I think it's time for a change too. I've been kind of running the program this way. And when I start to feel stale, I'm not as creative. So I think, for the sake of all of us, we want to do things a little different, just so that we can all be excited about the unknown and about doing something different, right? So we did that, Beth, you and I, we talk about maybe doing something different with the show. Like pretty much every area where I was working on things, I decided to do a shift, a shake, and reevaluate and refocus. And I have to say, it has been super refreshing super exciting for me to look back in the last few weeks of this process of realigning things, and I'm very excited. I'm very excited today for the things that are coming up. I'm launching right now a whole course in Spanish, which I have been talking about it. I think I mentioned Beth, I think last year that I'm ready to launch it, and for some reason or another, I kept putting it away, and now I'm super excited because it's here, and things like that, right? So the next show that's coming up, super excited about that. So it's one of those things that I don't know I would be this excited if I had just caught up to the same pattern and rhythm that I had prior to these obstacles coming my way. And so I think this kind of has taught me that, when these obstacles come along the way, maybe it's a good time to recalibrate. And in a very similar way as you did, focus on really what your passion project is, realign to that, and be excited, because when you lose that excitement and you're just doing things for making the machine run, it's not as fun. You don't enjoy it as much. And I can feel my energy level has gone up, my excitement has gone up, my ideas have gone up. I wake up in the morning with more ideas, and that's because of that change of mindset.
I love a good reset.
Yeah, totally.
Something I do when I'm resetting is I change my physical environment as well.
Oh, that's a good one.
So it sort of is a reflection of what's going on internally and intellectually. And so as soon as I recovered from giving that speech, which was like I just gave everything I had. I just gave it all.
Yeah.
I had rested during the week and then started getting organized again, reorganized my space so that I could have sort of a shift. Like, okay, this is like a ritual for me to say, I'm going into a new direction now, into a new focus and a new set of, steps that I have to follow in order to get to my goal. And so it's like a reminder visually, everything around me has shifted. And so internally, it helps me shift as well. I don't know if you find that for yourself. I mean, I know you've talked about reorganizing your studio and things like that, but for me, it helps so much for my physical space to mirror what it is I'm trying to do within myself.
You know what I do, which I love that glad you cover that, how those visual changes help us. What I do, I don't move furniture things around, but what I do is I do clean up my office, like the space where I'm creative with planning and shows and things like that. Because the studio is always messy, because that's I just move things around, but my desk slowly starts to pile up, and I just don't want to go through the trouble of cleaning up because it's time wasted in my head. So when I do a reset like this, first thing I did on a weekend, I went and cleaned up my desk. It was pristine, shiny, so that when I came that Monday to the desk to sit down to plan my week, it was like a brand new desk. It's not like that right now, but it's still trying to keep it light and focused, because the more cluttered it's around you, I think there's more distractions and more things calling you out for different things. But that visual change for me is like, ooh, this, I don't want to get it messy, because this means something. This, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important to include that into your creative process. And so, yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. And I think, as we have both shared bit of our stories, right now, of the things that are fresh in our minds, things that we have gone through, I'm sure, our friends who are listening also can take some insights, takeaways from the things that we struggle with, from the things that we went through, our health, or sometimes or family situations, things that come along the way, totally unexpected, that takes us into a different direction, but how we pull back is super important. And I hope that this chat, sharing our stories without the rush, right, of a reel, with going deeper into the story, I think there's some really good nuggets for our friends to also take on, because I'm 100% sure somebody listening to this right now is going through that time. It's going through that period in which things just don't seem to fall in place right now. Things just seem to be chaotic, or you may not see the light at the end of the tunnel, but it's coming.
Definitely. And if you're experiencing stress, low energy, and feeling like you can't seem to get out of an anxious state of being, reach out to me. I'm happy to share with you what I have learned, maybe some articles that could help you that I've read online that really helped me understand what was going on with my body, and some just practical advice that I could give. If that's something you're experiencing, please reach out to me, because it's not worth living that way every single day. Like, there are things that we can do to help our health improve. And if we can improve our health, then it'll help us be able to express ourselves creatively that much more, which is the true joy that we're all looking for, I believe. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Totally love it. And Beth, what are you excited for in the month of September? Now we are right on the verge of the new month. So what is one thing that makes you excited for this month?
Well, I am excited about traveling to Texas. I will be there for a week, and I think that will be a really wonderful experience. We'll be celebrating my father's life. He passed away a year ago from COVID, and we are going to do a celebration of life ceremony. And I think honoring him will be helpful in my grief journey. And so I'm looking forward to that milestone and coming out on the other side of it healthier and feeling more restored and in so many ways, because grief can be really hard for people to experience. And I think honoring that in yourself that hurts is how we begin to heal. And so it'll be a great healing process for me.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
What about you?
Yeah, so for me, for September, I'm very excited because I'll be hosting a friend, who a very dear, special friend of mine, who I first saw his artwork when I was a student. I walked into a gallery in Chicago. I saw this amazing work from this one solo show from an artist from Canada who I never met in back then when I saw the show. And that type of work that just impresses you and like stays with you, in your brain. That's how it was. And many years passed, 20 years passed. And then in 2000, during the pandemic, I get a message from this guy named Drew Harris, says, hey, enjoy watching your videos and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, Drew Harris? No, it can't be that guy that I saw 20 years ago. He showed here in Chicago. I was so curious. I went and looked it up. It was him. It was the actual artist that had really created a huge impression in my heart, in my mind, and as an aspiring young artist, looking up to him and buying his catalog just so I could have it in my studio. All like the universe, God, kind of brought us back again. Like amazing. We became such good friends that he's coming to Chicago for a solo show here in September, open September 16 in my gallery. And we're going to be doing also really great programming with Saturday and Sunday. We're going to do a artist retreat we call Weevolve. He's going to be here. And I have never met him in person. It's been all through Zoom, through social media.
Love it.
And he's coming with his wife. We're going to have a great time. It's like I'm receiving a good old friend that I haven't seen in years. It's just so weird, right? How some of these things happen because of social media. So that's kind of, that thing is going to be the highlight of my September. Meeting him for the first time, at the same time meeting him in like if I had known him forever. So I'm really, really excited for that friendship. And I will let you guys know in next time we chat, how it went and maybe what are some of the highlights from that trip, which very happy for that. So yeah.
That is something to celebrate.
Yes, indeed, right? Yeah.
I can't wait to hear how it goes.
Yeah, one of the benefits that you and I have is that we have met in person, not only here through social. You have come to Chicago, we have come over to Nashville, and it's been just really fun, great time. So, it's kind of strange, to meet for the first time somebody that you feel like you know them forever. But looking forward to that. Well, let's wrap it up for today. I really enjoyed this format. I think I had really an opportunity to hear you more in depth and to learn a little bit more from you. So I hope our friends like it. Please let us know how you like this format. If you like this more nice pace conversational format versus the quick, let's get it under 10 minutes and we got to go. Here's the 5 tips to learn and boom. And giving ourselves time to really get to know each other better and to share with our friends more about the insights that we have to share. Please let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear. Where can our friends connect with you, Beth, this week?
On Facebook and Instagram at Beth English. Check out my website at wtih.com. I have new photos up from the show.
From the event.
So check them out. And I can't wait to start sharing some of those snippets of my video on Instagram soon. So make sure you follow me and reach out. And please, reach out if you want to hear more about my health journey and what I learned. And I'm happy to share. What about you, Sergio?
That's exciting. I can't wait. I'm going to go check those pictures out too. Guys, you can find me on social media too. My favorite place is Instagram at Sergio Gomez Art. You can find me there, but you can find me also in some of the other ones. Feel free to reach out through Messenger. Love to connect with you all. And looking forward to our next chat. So have a good rest of your day. Goodbye, Beth. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Check out our website at www.theartistnextlevel.com, where you will find our podcast library, learn about our upcoming webinars, find resources relevant to your career, and much more. Thanks for listening to today's podcast, and we'll see you at the next level.